Four Noble Truths. Today we are going to discuss the last item. My throat also affected. Yesterday started about 3 o'clock, ended by 11:30. 3 talks. Four Noble Truths. Last Sunday morning I have explained the meaning of these words and explained the first 3 items, dukkha, the way how we suffer physically and mentally, and samudaya, the cause, why we suffer like this. Third, what do we gain by ending our suffering? What sort of freedom or salvation or liberation we can experience by ending our physical and mental suffering? So these 3 items we have already completed. So today is the last one. So what is the last item? In our Four Noble Truths, what is the last item? No idea. Your knowledge is very, very poor. Huh? No. Yes, something like that. No, not housewife. The path, it is called path, the method, what to do, in simple language, what to do to get rid of suffering. Now that is called path, method, that we have to practice. So this morning we are going to discuss this method. What is the Buddhist method? You have heard or you have learned the method introduced by various other religions to find out their final salvation. Isn't it? You know. That is very simple. Believe in God, pray and worship, and follow certain laws or the commandments given by the God. Now this is the method introduced by many religions. The Buddha did not agree or he did not accept this method. But this is a very age-old method, not a new one. This method was there few thousands years ago. So, since he could not agree, he wanted to find out what is the correct method. As an effort that he made in order to find out this method, another religion come into existence. That is how Buddhism come into existence. Otherwise, there is no reason for the Buddha to introduce another religion. No meaning at all. Now, if he also followed the same method, same belief, same system, same practices, and introduced as Buddhism, utter wastage. So he discovered entirely a different method that you cannot find in any other religion, this method. Of course, when you study The basic principle, I think they make noise, the stand, bring the stand. When we say all these existing religions are the same, yes, there are a lot of similarities. Every religion teaches us not to do bad things, common. Every religion teaches us to do good things, yes, common. Every religion teaches us to do good and be good, common. But that is not the ultimate aim of a religion. We have to go further, because there are many in this world who do lot of good deeds without depending on any religion, who avoid from bad things without depending on any religion. Remember this. So the main purpose of religion is not that much. You have to go beyond this worldly way of life. That is why people say all these religions are the same. Last night we had a very interesting interreligious forum at the University of Technology. One Buddhists and Christians and Hindus and Sikhs, 4 speakers. Then a student asking all bombastic questions, very challenging. First time I heard such challenging questions. Some free thinkers were there. And they asked, where is God? And he said, God is there. Then why he is there? What is he doing there? Why can't he come down? This kind of questions. Then, how many gods are there? One or many? Then many people say only one. Although we use different names, only one God. Are we worshipping the same God or different God? They say we are worshipping the same God. Then I interrupted. I asked this question. You say the followers of all these religions worship the same God, only one God. Right? In that case, now Hindus also believe in God. Christians also believe in God. Muslims also believe in God, one God. Then why is it necessary for Christians to convert Hindus? Because they also believe in God. Why it is necessary for Muslims to convert Christians and Hindus? You say all of them worship the same God. Can you answer this question? I ask this question. There's nobody to answer. So all these are sugar-coated words, actually. That is called intellectual hypocrisy. Just to please others, they say we are worshipping the same God. Then why do they want to drag others into their group? Allow them to worship the same God according to their own way. Now you can understand that Buddhism is entirely a different religion. We are not scared to say this. Otherwise, throw away this religion, Buddhism. No meaning at all. If you say Buddhism also exactly like Christianity, Islam and Hinduism, all the other existing religions, then what is the big idea of giving another religious label? Reduce into one or two religions. This is entirely a different religion. This is one of the reasons. The method we have to practice in order to find out final salvation. The founder of the Polytech Society in London, Dr. Rhys Davids, He was a son of a Christian priest, British. He wanted to study Pali language to know the basic teachings of the Buddha, to find out the weaknesses of this religion, being a Christian. Very intelligent young man. So husband and wife, both of them, studied, mastered this language, Pali. Started to read, and after reading and reading and reading, they found out it's very interesting. So when they have returned to London, decided to form a Pali Text Society 100 years ago to translate this Pali Buddhist book into English, first time. So they went on translating. He is the one who has written in his book, I have studied all these existing religions and philosophy in this world, but I have never seen Four Noble Truths and Eight Noble Paths in any other religion. Only in the Buddha's case. Dr. Rhys Davids. Because all the others talk about God and heaven and devils and Satan and hell, praying and worshipping and laws and commandments. That's all. Then he says, why I wanted to study Buddhism. Being a son of a Christian priest, I wanted to find out the weaknesses in this religion, to promote Christianity. That was my idea. So I went on studying this religion. In the end, what happened to me? Without my knowledge, I have become a Buddhist. I never wanted to become a Buddhist, but this subject is very convincing. So my heart became a Buddhist without my knowledge. This is the way how he appreciates. Now he says, only in this religion we can find these Four Noble Truths. Now let us refer to the Buddha. This is also very interesting information. One day, somebody came and asked this question. He said, at that time in India, there were 62 religions. Buddhism is one of them. So they came and asked, a group of people, there are so many religions. So we do not know which religion is the true religion. Ask the Buddha's opinion. Of course, naturally, the Buddha says, my religion is a true religion, isn't it? If anybody come and ask whether Buddhism is a true religion, of course, I say yes. You are right. And what did the Buddha say? The Buddha never said, Buddhism or the Dhamma or my religion is the true religion. He never said. Then he said, if you can find 8 noble paths in any religion, accept that religion as a true religion. The advice given by the Buddha. So this clearly shows that the Buddha did not want to introduce a religion. He wanted to introduce only a noble way of life. That's all. Later we started to introduce this as a religion. A noble way of life for us to lead a peaceful, happy, contented, harmless, respectable life. For us to experience peace and salvation, liberation in the end. That is Buddhism. When you refer to dictionary for this word, religion, what is the definition given for this word? When they started to write dictionary long ago, they have given very narrow or very limited definition for this word religion. Religion means belief in God, praying and worshipping to God, binding or rebinding man to God. That is religion. At that time they knew only this much. Today, when you read the modern dictionary, you can see how many new definitions they have given to this word, religion. In fact, they have gone to such extent to mention there belief in God, simple G, not one creator God, God's belief in God. Earlier they never had this interpretation. But our definition of this word, religion, is a noble or righteous way of life for human beings to lead a harmless and respectable life, to find out peace, happiness and salvation. When we define in this way, then no contradiction. This is the main purpose of religion, Buddhist religion. Now let us come back to the subject. 8 noble paths, 8 items, 8 methods for us to practice. Here, among these 8 methods, 8 items, you cannot find belief in God, praying and worshipping to anybody, performance of rites and rituals and ceremonies, religious penalties as important religious practices. When you analyze the 8 noble paths, to many others, those are the most important items, path or the method or the system to find out their salvation. The Buddha did not acknowledge, accept those things as important practices of belief in order to find out our salvation. These are the items. In his own language, Pali, he mentions Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. 8. These are the 8 items. So, if we are going to explain these 8 items, you must have 8 days. 1 day, 1 item. So there are so many things to explain. The first item, or he started this noble way of life, or religious way of life, with right understanding. See the way how Buddha has started his mission. Right understanding is the first item. Why? Whatever we do without proper understanding, that can become a failure. Or we won't be able to experience good result. If not, we have to stop halfway. Because our understanding is wrong. So when we come to religion, if our understanding is wrong, whatever we do, whatever we believe, we won't be able to experience good result. That is why knowledge is important. Now you are here this morning to gain this understanding. Otherwise, you maintain your wrong concept, wrong belief, wrong ideas, simply by listening to others, what others talk. You believe. Right understanding is not there. Knowledge is important for you to learn, investigate, think, understand. Then you will come to know that, oh, this is true. Without applying your belief at once. You can believe anything without studying. Later you will come to know that it is wrong. This is the danger. So the Buddha has given this warning. This is a very good advice. He said, don't accept or don't believe at once anything. On the other hand, he also said, don't reject at once. It's a very good advice. Don't accept, don't reject. Because at the beginning, you may use only your emotion, not your knowledge. So you accept. Later, you will come to know that it is not true. If not, without thinking properly. Now let us take one example. Then somebody come and tell you, do you know after our death, there will be another life, rebirth. Then at once you say, no, I don't believe, rubbish. You reject that. You reject this one without studying, without thinking, without knowing. Because of your stubbornness or skeptical ideas, at once you reject. Not that way. That is why the Buddha says, don't accept, don't reject. Then give a chance for your mind to think. Think, investigate, find out. If you can get enough reason to accept, then accept it. If you haven't got enough reason to accept, then reject. See whether it is reasonable or not. So right understanding in our noble path is important to maintain, to cultivate our noble way of life, to avoid frustration, disappointment later. Then, further definitions of this right understanding is this, deeper aspects. Understanding of the real nature of Four Noble Truths. You can understand everything under this sun and the moon. By using your science and technology and various modern subjects, you studied everything here. But still, it is an academic knowledge. It is a book knowledge. It is a worldly knowledge. This knowledge does not support you to get rid of your worldly suffering, your frustrations, your worries, your mental disturbance. No. I think you have heard a well-known scientist, Albert Einstein, what he has said. He says, atomic energy could manage to change, to shape the whole world. It is so powerful. But this atomic energy also could not change the man's mind. Man's mind is more energetic, more dynamic than the atomic energy. Because this atomic energy also discovered by the man's mind. Now, if understanding of Four Noble Truths is there, then our mind, our understanding become very solid, unshakable. At the moment, very shaky, very shallow, because our understanding is very poor. That is why when little bit of disturbances take place, we go on crying and worrying and shouting and fighting and creating trouble. That means no understanding. In brief, I can tell you the real meaning of this understanding of Four Noble Truths. Then you can understand that you are still in the dark, although you have wonderful knowledge. All right. Do you know why you are here in this world? Do you know? Anybody who knows? That means you are in the dark. Do you know what will happen to you when you disappear from this world? Cut out. You are in the dark. You may create your own imagination. That is not the answer. Do you know why you cannot satisfy with this life? Why you always grumble? Do you know the reason why? What is the reason? Always grumble, always complain. Nobody knows. But do you know how to stop this unsatisfactoriness in our life? Do you know how to stop it? How? Making more money. Pardon? What is it? Noble? Simply we can say noble path. That is not the answer. Still we do not know the method. Are these four things you do not know? Then you can understand why the Buddha said right understanding is the key to open the door for you to understand why you are here, what you are doing, why you cannot satisfy with this way of life, to understand what will happen to you after your departure from this world. What is your fate? That is the first item in the Eight Noble Paths. I have no time to explain. Now half an hour gone already. Still one item. 11 o'clock I got another item, another appointment. Next one. Right thought, second item. To understand the nature of right thoughts, you must know how to analyze your own mind. You know everything in this world, but you do not know the nature of your own mind. This is the nature of mind. You do not know what is happening in your mind. You do not know what are the ingredients that you are keeping in your mind. You do not know why you cannot control your mind. You do not know why you cannot cultivate, develop your mind. You do not know how to give up your bad habits, although you know they are bad. That means you do not know anything about your mind. See how ignorant we are. We think we are very learned, pandit, great pandit. We are real stupid. Unless we study these things, there is no understanding. We maintain imagination, pride, thinking that we know. But great people, like Confucius, Socrates, they are really real great human beings. How they admit. But we are not ready to admit because of our egoism. Very strong egoism we have. We pretend we know. When we analyze, there is nothing. When Socrates, supposed to be the first-class great thinkers at that time in Greece, in Europe, learned man, when somebody asked this question, people say, actually you know everything. You are such a learned, great man. Actually, can you tell me what you know? Then he says, yes, very simple. He says, I know only one thing, that I do not know. Because many others do not know that they do not know. They think they know. In his case, he knows that he does not know. Now you can understand where we are. This is the method taught by the Buddha for us to understand that we do not know. Then we get the chance to learn. Then try to understand what this mind. We do not know why evil thoughts, very cruel and bad thoughts appear in our mind. We don't know why. We don't like them. And we do not know why we cannot control our anger or jealousy. But naturally they appear. Again, we do not know why we cannot cultivate our honesty, our compassion, our sympathy towards others. Very hard. By considering, analyzing our own mind, what sort of thoughts appear in our mind. If they are bad thoughts, then try not to develop them. When you come to know that there are no good thoughts in our mind, try to develop, try to create, try to radiate some good thoughts. This is the way how we have to handle, to deal with our mind if we really want to make use of the mind. At the moment, just let go. Allow any evil thoughts to appear, prevail, disturb the mind, pollute the mind. That is why we are not happy. Unhappiness comes from there. Although we have more than enough things, we are not happy because we do not know how to maintain healthy mind. So in simple language, if you know how to maintain healthy mind, that is the second method, noble path, noble method. Third one. Write a speech. Now this one is easy to understand. Right speech means art of talking. We do not know how to talk. Just go on talking, we don't know what we talk. To whom we are talking. Just talk. Then the words, the terms, the subject matters, the ideas that we use become very dangerous, harmful, which can create a lot of damages by using our words. Words are very powerful. One word is enough to destroy the whole world. One word. One word is enough to bring about peace, because this comes from the mind. Right speech, there are 4 ways we use our words. Telling lies, gossiping, using abusive language, dirty language, and frivolous talk, rubbish, talk rubbish. Just talk. Do you know, amongst all those living beings in this whole universe, there are living beings in various other planets and universes. There are some other living beings on this earth, so many others. Some are powerful. Again, there are some invisible living beings such as ghosts and devils and spirits. The Buddha has categorized all these existing groups into 31 groups. Among those 31 groups, human beings are the only living beings who tell lies. Do you know that? Others never tell lies. See how clever we are. Yes. That is called development of the mind with cunning. In other living beings, that development has not taken place up to that extent. Crookedness and development together. Then telling lies and bluffing and cheating and swindling, all these things take place. We are very clever for this. Bluffing. Others do not know how to bluff. Sometimes those animals who associate with human beings for a long time learn some of those tricks from human beings. Otherwise, by nature, they do not know. I can give a simple incident. It's a very nice joke. Tamed elephants in a temple from childhood, as a baby elephant, associated with monks and playing every day. So one day, this elephant was standing under a tree, a mango tree. Very nice mangoes. And one morning when the monks came out, he saw very nice mango drop. So elephant picked it and he is holding. When the elephant saw the monk is coming, he was holding like this mango. So the monks went to pick up the mango. When he come nearer, the elephant put into the mouth. How he cheated the monk. How he learned this trick. It's a joke. Because of associating with human beings for a long time, they also learn these tricks. So human beings are like this. That is why religion is needed for us to guard our mouths. Otherwise, mouth is very dangerous. In another discourse, the Buddha says, Purisassa hi jātassa kutari jāyate mukhe. Mukha means mouth. He says, in every man's mouth. Of course, when you say man's, don't forget the other side. In every man's mouth, there is a weapon by birth. Very dangerous weapons in the mouth. Can cut anything. That means the words, tongue. So the human tongue, the words, is very dangerous if you do not guard it, train it properly. That is called right of speech. Telling lies, using abusive or dirty, vulgar language, and carrying tales and creating troubles and problems and calamities and enmities and jealousy, and wasting time by talking rubbish for waste to waste our time. So if we can guard our tongue without wasting our valuable time for this way of talking, right speech is there. And now we are preparing our path to reach our final goal, to reach nirvana, to find out our salvation, liberation, freedom. but not by worshipping or praying to anybody. We can worship, no harm at all, very good. But that is not enough. You can worship 100 times a day, thinking you can find out your salvation. It never works. Unless you adjust, you mold your way of life according to this noble path. Fourth one is right action. We do certain things for our living, for our survival, for our pleasure, to gain something, many things. And there are various methods for us to adapt, to do certain things. And then the method must be correct method. You can gain so much, and there are various methods for us to adapt, to do certain things. And then the method must be correct method. You can gain so much. You can make a lot of profit. You can make a lot of money by adopting wrong method. Smuggling, swindling, cheating others, robbing, killing, kidnapping, all these are wrong methods. But you can become very rich. You can make a lot of money. So whatever we want to do, either for our living or for our pleasure, our method must be free from the 5 principles that we observe as precept. Then the method is correct. What are the 5 principles? We can do anything for our living or for gaining or pleasure without destroying others' life, not at the cost of others' life. That is the first principle. Second one, without stealing, bluffing, swindling, smuggling. Third one, the sexual pleasure that people gain by adopting a wrong method, immoral. That is called sexual misconduct or adultery, committing adultery. Experiencing sexual pleasure is not prohibited in Buddhism, never regarded as bad or immoral, but reasonable way, respectable way, without hurting, disturbing others' feelings. People can have sexual pleasure. This is the third one. Then, the other one, just now I explained, without telling lies for your own benefit. Without telling lies to harm others. There are 2 ways. One way is to gain something by telling lies. The other way is to do some harm, some disturbances, damages to others by telling lies. Wrong method. Last one, introducing or using or selling or dealing with intoxicating drinks and drugs and dangerous weapons and poisons. Now then, so whatever business, whatever way of life, whatever work you do, either to gain something or to enjoy your life, can become harmless when you are under this noble path. If you violate one of these things, so you go out of this noble path. You go back to a jungle from this noble path. It will take long time for you to come back to the same path. Next one. Right livelihood. This is a very big problem. For our survival, we must earn something. Otherwise, we have to suffer. Buddhism or the Buddha always encourage you to do something without wasting your time. He says, don't waste your time. Do something within your capacity, whatever you can, to earn something without depending on others. Use your effort. He says, don't sleep too much. Don't become lazy. But the method that you are going to use for your living also must be correct. Then he introduced 5 kinds of wrong methods that people adopt for their living. But some people say it's very difficult. Yes, it is difficult. To be noble is very difficult. Not so easy. To be bad is not difficult, very easy. Within 1 minute you can become very bad. To be good may take many years. What are these things? Sattva-vanijja, Mansa-vanijja, Visa-vanijja, Sattva-vanijja and Ekajja. These 5. We know many Buddhists are doing this. They say this is for our living. Whether it is for their living or not, it is not an active. If they say, we had to do this for our living, yes, they can go ahead. But they also must be prepared to face the consequences, the bad effect. That's all. This is the Buddha's way of teaching. That is why he did not introduce any commandment in his teaching. He did not introduce any religious laws in his teaching. He never said, you should not do this. No, that is not his way of teaching. He never said, you cannot do this. He never said, if you do this, I'll punish you. That is not his language. His duty is to point out, to tell you. Further clarification to support this are these sayings of the Buddha. Tumbhehi kiccang atappang akhataro tathagata. Tathagata is another name for the Buddha. Tathagata, so the Buddha, tell you what to do. What are the things that you have to do? And what are the things that you should not do? He points out. That is his duty. But he did not use force. as a law, because by introducing his idea was allow you to think, to understand. Now if he says these things are wrong, then you think the Buddha says these things are wrong, therefore we should not do. But you do not know why these things are wrong. But many others say, oh, God says we cannot do that. But no understanding why. That is not the Buddha's way. He says, I am telling you according to my own experience. That is more than enough. Then you also can understand why these things are bad. Then religious laws are not important. Instead of obeying the law, you must try to understand why these things are wrong. Then you develop your understanding. So here, he says, these things are not respectable, not noble, not reasonable. Then you have to think why these things are not respectable or not noble. Because these things can create enormous suffering, disturbances. You can understand this without taking any law, any commandment from another person. You have human mind to think. And not necessary to come down from heaven. Our own mind is capable enough to understand. What are these minds? So according to him, we rare living beings, so animals, and distribute or sell for slaughtering. So according to him, it is not a noble work, respectable work. No doubt you can make a lot of money. Slavery. Now kidnapping people, it is slavery. Demand money. Kidnap small children. But in those days, from poor families, thousands and thousands of them, they rear just like pigs and chicken, and bring them to the market, keep in the cages and sell, and use them as slaves throughout their life. You know, those days they have taken slaves to America. In India also very common, this kind of job. You can make money. But the modern technique is kidnapping. Children, girls. It is not respectable. You can understand why it is bad. You don't like it. If you don't like me, it is bad. Then, selling or making money by doing this poisons and dangerous weapons, say time bomb. You produce time bomb and sell. You can make a lot of money. You can produce poison, distribute and make money to kill others, destroy others' lives. These are the things the Buddha has pointed out that we must try to keep away. There are so many other respectable jobs and work. No doubt we won't be able to be very rich. It doesn't matter. What we want is to earn something for our living that is respectable. That is for right livelihood. And we have no guilty feeling in our mind if you can lead, if you can a way of life by keeping away from such harmful dangerous business. Then, right effort, next one, sixth one. The effort we have to use in two ways. By using our mind, by using our physical body, to cultivate our way of life, we have to use lot of effort. Because by nature or naturally, we like to do bad things. Not necessary to learn from others. For example, small children learn so many bad things, bad words from others very easily, automatically. No need to teach. But to teach good things, you have to send them to school, private tuition, spend so much money, still they cannot learn. But all the bad deeds, monkey tricks, they can learn very easily. That means we can learn bad things very easily, we can do bad things very easily. To stop our bad habit, we have to use full effort. This is the time that we have to use effort. Say, drinking, everybody knows it is bad. There is nobody to say it is very good. Drinking is bad, ruin our body, our health, our income, create lot of disturbances, bad reputation. We forget our duties, we neglect our duties. But we have no courage, cannot use effort to stop this. Smoking, nowadays, medical science accepted. Smokers had to suffer a lot, difficult, wasting so much money, bad habit, bad example. But we have no courage to stop it. And certain other bad things. We know they are bad, but no courage to stop. This is the way how we have to use our effort. To make up our mind, strengthen our mind by knowing this is bad, this is wrong, I must stop this. Your own mind, others cannot. Do you think God can stop this? Or you want to stop your drinking? You know it is bad. Every day you go and pray to God. Please stop my drinking, I don't want to drink, please stop. Forever, throughout your life you can pray see whether God can stop your drinking. The God never come and throw away your bottle. Unless you throw it away. That is what the Buddha says. You have to make up your mind whether God exists or not. Don't depend on God to stop it. If you like, you can pray, no harm at all. Effort. Then you are very lazy. You don't want to do much work. Again you have to use your effort, mental energy, without wasting this physical body. Do something, whatever you can. Because there are many duties, obligations, responsibilities. Without depending and without begging, without bluffing others. Why not you try to do something? Use your effort. It is a noble path. Right effort. Then use your effort to reduce cruelty, jealousy, anger, selfishness from your mind, because they are dangerous. Effort. Use your effort to develop your kindness, honesty, sympathy, understanding, generosity, effort. Two more. Samma Sati. Now we have come to the mental development. Started with right understanding, went on developing, now reach up to the maximum level. Two more items, two more steps. Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. Samma means right, correct. Correct mindfulness. This is also very difficult. One-pointedness. One-pointedness means whenever you think mindfully. Whenever you talk mindfully. Whenever you do certain things, do mindfully. Then you can avoid mistake. Otherwise, you do something here and your mind goes somewhere else. There is no mindfulness. When you cross the road, be mindful by thinking something else, thinking about your girlfriend or boyfriend. You cross the road, the vehicles come and no mindfulness. So in every step, in every effort, mindfulness must be there. There is no religion in this mindfulness. Any human beings who got a human mind can practice this mindfulness for their protection, precaution, to avoid troubles and problems and mistakes, and also to train the mind. That is the training period. Now when you want to train a small child how to write A, B, C, D, now you give a pencil and piece of paper and the child doesn't know how to write. Then you hold the hand of this child and the pencil and then help. A. Like this. Then 3-4 times you hold this child's hand and train and train and train and train. And after some time this child can write A without your support. So this mindfulness is exactly like this. We train this mind without allowing this mind to occupy certain other ideas at that time. Only this mind. Only one item at a time. That is called the one-pointedness. Only that particular item. Then we guard our mind at that time, without allowing these five senses and the imaginations to disturb the mind. You protect, you arrest this mind. Now mind is dealing only with this. And the mind gets a lot of relief. Otherwise, all the while, this mind is going on dealing with the five senses and imagining, accepting, rejecting, accepting, rejecting, accepting, rejecting, all the while like this. No peace for this mind. No relaxation. So when we practice this mindfulness, we give chance for this poor mind to relax. That is the time you rejuvenate, recharge the battery in your mind. Do you know that? Now you are using the current in the mind. without charging. Every time when you look at, you lose a lot of mental current, energy. When you listen, when you talk, when you taste, when you smell, when you feel, get some feeling, sensation, all these are wastage of mental energy, mental current. Again, when you go on creating castles in the air, creating daydreams in your mind, imagination, waste lot of mental current. That is how we waste our mental energy. No more energy in the mind. Then you say we are exhausted, tired, because no more current here. So when you practice this mindfulness, without allowing all these things to come and disturb the mind, at that time we recharge the battery. The mind again get enough current, healthy mind. Later you can divert this mental energy towards your spiritual development. That is called meditation. When the mind is strengthened, energetic, dynamic, unshakable, very strong now, then you develop more willpower, more courage, more confidence. Otherwise you are half-dead, very shaky. Now you can understand why mindfulness is important. Very easily you can get in the correct path because the mind is very strong. Last item. Samma Samadhi. Samadhi means calmness, tranquility, peace that we experience in our mind. Now we are not experiencing because there are lot of disturbance. If there are no external disturbances to disturb to the senses or the imagination, what will happen? We have lot of sediment, evil forces like devil in our mind. When we concentrate through our mindfulness, all the sediments, bad thoughts, evil thoughts goes down and down and down and down and down and settle down at the bottom here. Now when we keep this glass of water, the muddy water, for a few hours, all the dirt, sediment remain at the bottom. The water here, in this part, very pure. So when we develop concentration, meditation, so whatever it may be, our mind also exactly like all the bad thoughts reduce, goes down to the bottom. Our anger, jealousy, greed, and these, all those things. Here, very pure. But what will happen? When you take this glass and shake like this, all the sediments come up. The mind is like that. Again polluted, because you have not cleansed completely, remain at the bottom. So when we come to that higher stage, Samma Samadhi, so many of those sediments and dirt already washed away. Not easy to disturb that mind at that stage. Now you have a lot of patience and tolerance and kindness and honesty and understanding and sympathy, and you have developed more and more good qualities, higher and higher and higher and higher. The bad things will go down and down and down and down and down and wasted. That is the time we really enjoy, experience real peace, real happiness, real satisfaction in our life. Now, so whatever we experience as pleasure, as happiness, is just like eating hot potatoes. You know how you eat hot potatoes. But you don't give up. Very hot, but you don't give up. Enjoy. All our worldly pleasures are just like eating hot potatoes. Oh, 11:15. This is called Eight Noble Path. This is the path to Nirvana. This is the method to find out final salvation. All the other methods that we are practicing are not that important, but this method can help us to bring us to this path. All our religious activities, festivals, celebrations, and this and that can support us to get into this path. But if we remain forever without getting into this path, forever we remain in the jungle. Okay?
ආකාශට්ඨා ච බුම්මට්ඨා දේවානාගා මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරං රක්ඛන්තු ලෝක ශාසනං එත්තාවතා ච අම්හි සම්පතං පුඤ්ඤ සම්පදං සබ්බේ දේවානුමෝදන්තු සබ්බ සම්පත්ති සිද්ධියා දේවෝ වස්සතු කාලේන සස්ස සම්පත්ති හේතු ච පීතෝ භවතු ලෝකෝ ච රාජා භවතු ධම්මිකෝ ඉදං හෝ ඥාතීනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉමිනා පුඤ්ඤ කම්මේන මාමේ බාල සමාගමෝ සතං සමාගමෝ හෝතු යාව නිබ්බාන පත්තියා